Hello and welcome to STH English. Let us turn our gaze towards Israel and Iran and US conflict all over again. You may be saying that this is old news now. The conflict is temporarily over, or at least there's a pause, and not much is happening there. So therefore, why don't we talk about Gaza? Why don't we talk about what Trump is doing to the opponents, to the immigrants, and why don't you talk about the new thinking inside India, which reflects the old hatred for Pakistan? Let me tell you, the news is this, that while there is a temporary facade of pause in hostilities, kinetic operations, use of force, and there is a debate going on as to how to engage Iran, a plan is afoot to keep a very close watch on Iran and essentially strike again the moment this realization has sunk in that Iran is not playing ball with Israel, Iran is not playing ball with Trump, and again attempting allegedly to rebuild some sort of a nuclear capability. The sources in Western capitals and the research that has been done by some very credible and established journalists tell us that Iran has gone completely dark as far as the West is concerned, in the sense that the West does not know what Iran is thinking, what Iran is up to, what Iran is planning, because initially they had two kind of pipes that moved into Iran's inner circles. One was the infiltrated hierarchy of decision makers. Iran was a deeply penetrated state. The political divide, ideological differences had seeped deep into the Iranian state, and while the present system was holding power, it was not really a very popular system some years ago. Over the years, the events like the students' protests and the way they dealt with the opponents reinforced those divisions. So inside Iran's power hierarchy, there were always people who wanted to see the regime fall, and therefore they were playing ball with Israel. That, after the war, cadre is practically now being eliminated and cleansed. Iranian leadership very quietly has started to fold up all these people who had developed rat holes inside the system. So the physical espionage that was taking place, the spy network that was created by Israel and America, through which they were gathering real-time information, actual information as to what the regime was thinking, is now practically closed up. The other eyes that the Western countries had on Iran were the eyes of IAEA. After the disastrous complicity that IAEA was found to be involved in with Israel and America sharing a lot of Iran's nuclear information with these two countries and giving them directions practically as to where Iran's nuclear assets are located, Iran has decided to get rid of IAEA. So they have checked out all the staff. They have asked them to board the first flight and get out of Iran. They have also dismantled their technological infrastructure like cameras and sensors, and all those are dismantled. Iran, as far as IAEA's eyes and ears are concerned, has completely gone dark. So with the spies and espionage network being folded up and cleansed, with IAEA eyes and ears being clogged and plugged, Iran is practically undetected as far as information flow is concerned. So the Western thought and Israeli thinking is that Iran is probably going to be creating some sort of a makeshift nuclear processing network. This time around, not burying it deep under the mountains, because any kind of subterranean activity of this scale is going to be detected by very astute and precision-oriented satellite imagery. So they will not do that. And they've also discovered that regardless of how deep you bury your sites under the mountain, American Tomahawk missiles and their bunker busters are going to create enough damage for you to not be able to access that. So they are going to, according to Western assessments, spread the nuclear workshops across their massive land and use, and here is the main news and why I'm focusing on this, and use some of the 60% enriched uranium that the West believes they still have with them to enrich it further and then convert it into a form that can be used for a crude nuclear device, and then also have the technology to mate it with a warhead. That's what the Western intelligence and Israelis are thinking about. Now, if they create this new war scenario where Iran, according to their allegation, is now creating a new infrastructure, they are going to strike again. And they are positioning themselves for this kind of a strike. So while on the face of it, you may have this phase of the war being declared as over, you may have back-end channels engaging with Iran and diplomatic ties being used to somehow create a long-term durable peace. You see the Saudis getting engaged with Iran. You have the Iranians getting engaged with Pakistan. You have the Russians talking to the Iranians, the Europeans engaging with the Iranians. And on the back end, Americans also accessing Iran's top leadership. In terms of war planning, that is still going on. And the new theory that we're hearing out of Western and capitals and Israel's intelligence sources, as published in American newspapers, is that Iran will try again and fast-track a crude nuclear device. It could be a hoax. It could certainly become another argument of the sort that we heard from them when they went after the so-called weapons of mass destruction of Saddam Hussein. It could just be a fake justification for yet another attack. It could be any, many, and all of these things. However, the preparations are afoot. So it's very interesting that Iran's nuclear capability, despite being, according to Trump, obliterated, is still in the news. It is still being assessed, and it is still being portrayed as a possible cause for another attack. When that attack will happen depends on when Israel and America decide arbitrarily to declare that Iran has again restarted to attempt to build a crude nuclear device, and here we are positioning our missiles, and here we are positioning our aircraft to strike them again. So, yes, while we should breathe a sigh of relief that this conflict seems to be temporarily halted, but this temporary halt looks to be a preparation for another phase of this conflict.